The American black bear is a symbol of North America's wild past. Before Europeans came to the New World, bears roamed free across the continent from sea to shining sea. Black bears mostly eat fruit, insects, and plants. Meat is not a large part of their diet. Unlike other predators, black bears aren't a serious threat to humans. In fact, since 1900, there have only been 61 known deaths caused by black bears, according to the experts at the North American Bear Center. Not to minimize those deaths, but many aspects of daily life are far more dangerous. That never stopped Euro-Americans from trying to eliminate them, however. Predators and other wildlife were caught in the American riptide. Black bears hung on better than others, but not by much. As habitat loss, market hunting, and bounties took their toll, we lost a symbol of American wilderness. Perhaps no state exemplifies that loss more than Kansas. Prior to colonization, Kansas had a healthy, thriving black bear population. A scientific study of mammals in Kansas, published in 1903, said that black bears were reported by all early settlers but were extinct by the 1880s. According to the Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks, black bears were common in eastern and central Kansas in the 1850s. It only took about 30 years for people to kill off black bears in the state. In 1866, a lone bear wandered onto Mr. Fisher's property in Chase County near Cottonwood Falls. There is no report of the bear threatening people, but it was treated like Frankenstein's monster. Mr. Fisher couldn't kill the bear, so a group of people hunted it down for him. Bears were so rare even in 1866 that they didn't know where it came from. They speculated that it was someone's escaped pet. A couple of years later, a bear was killed just a few miles east of Kansas State University. The Manhattan Standard reported that a Mr. Orlando Legore killed a 200-pound bear on the banks of the Big Blue River. The paper noted that it was very rare to find a bear in Kansas. The paper was right. Bears were very rare in Kansas even in the early years. The next reported spotting in the area was near Paxico, Kansas, along Mulberry Creek in 1872. Paxico is about 30 miles east of Manhattan. Dick Stevenson killed a 400-pound bear in Barber County the same year. I couldn't find the last documented bear being killed, but it was sometime in the 1880s. So what did Kansas lose when the black bears were hunted out of the state? The answer is simple. Kansas lost its wildness. As Americans expanded, black bears and other wildlife suffered. John Gast's famous painting, American Progress, depicts Lady Liberty walking across the continent. You see Native Americans and bison running away. Manifest Destiny left an empty landscape behind it. Early settlers to Kansas marveled at the amount of wildlife. In 1859, James Meade wrote to his family in Iowa and called Kansas, quote, the land of plenty, unquote, because of the abundant wildlife in the state. In his 1855 guidebook for early settlers of Kansas, George Walter mentioned the wildlife as a selling point. Funny enough, he mentions that bears were frequent in the western portion of the state, but we know that most bears were killed off in western Kansas by the early 1800s. Over the next few decades, Kansas lost its megafauna. Bears, bison, elk, wolves, and other large mammals were all killed off, and people couldn't brag about the wildlife. Thankfully, that has begun to change in the 21st century. About the year 2000, black bears began traveling up the river corridors in southwest Kansas. In the last 10 years, bears have become more common in southeast Kansas as well. Those sightings are thanks to bear recovery in Colorado, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Missouri. It is great to see them reclaiming more of their native habitat. In 2023, a bear was sighted 45 minutes south of Kansas City. Missouri has 900 bears, and that number could double in the next decade, according to a bear biologist with the Missouri Department of Conservation. Those bears will continue to push further into Kansas. I am really looking forward to black bears re-establishing themselves in Kansas. John Waterman, a former park ranger at Denali National Park, said it best. quote, "I realized that our wilderness and our nation would be empty without bears," unquote. For me, watching black bear recovery is like watching a centuries-old wound finally starting to heal. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to help grow the channel.